We always talk about the best players, we always talk about the best teams, but let's talk about the best lines in the NHL today. It is mid-November and we have enough data, eye tests, and statistics to tell you who I think are the 5 best lines in the NHL today. We're going to use a few caveats for this exercise. The line must have played more than 50 minutes together in order to qualify. So as of mid-November right now, those lines that were injured being put together are the teams that are hobbling together and changing lines dramatically won't be entered into this list. So you need 50 minutes of ice time in order to qualify for this list. And this won't be the last time we do this list. So if your favorite team was left off of this list, at the end of the video, I'll note my own snubs. They may end up back on the line list of power rankings as we continue through in the season. That's why you got to subscribe down low, hit that notification bell, and drop the thumbs up for Coach Ryan D. Now, starting in number 5, it's Connor McDavid, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, +1. It doesn't matter who that +1 is. I don't care if it's Draisaitl, Jesse Puljujärvi, or Zach Hyman. The key to this line is Nugent-Hopkins and McDavid. What makes this line so deadly is McDavid's speed and his ability to pivot, his ability to go back one way and through this way and suck defenders in with him. Everybody gets caught watching the magic man that is Connor McDavid. He forces puck watching, he forces double coverage, and when he draws defenders to him this way, even if they end up luckily getting a stick on it, he's got enough weapons around him and enough wherewithal around him in order to stretch the ice and move it over to his defensemen or his line mates. What makes this line so special is Ryan Nugent-Hopkins' ability to get lost. Leon Draisaitl does this as well too. So take a look at Nugent-Hopkins, how he ends up moving through. Defenders end up forgetting about them as that puck ends up at the top with Darnell Nurse. Connor McDavid is always a guy that has to be covered regardless of whether or not he has a puck on him. You have to be able to take a look at 97, and what you end up seeing is Ryan Nugent-Hopkins getting lost and finding his way to the front of the net for a backdoor pass. So this all starts with the fact that McDavid can find open ice on the half wall. He can find a player in order to stretch the ice. In this case, it was Darnell Nurse, and then his partner, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, gets into the front of the net to bury those goals. Now, if you want a really cool source of where information like this can come from, I want you to head to the affiliate link down below, and I want you to take a look at Coach Jack Hahn's book. He is a former NHL, AHL coach who has broken down all 32 NHL teams, their tendencies and offensive tendencies. And what we end up seeing here is that he highlights the fact that Connor McDavid is the danger Will Robinson on this line by making little J-hooks, button books, and actually getting players to suck in and follow him with that puck. Well, guys like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins or Leon Draisaitl, any one of his line mates this year, it happens to be Hopkins, end up getting lost moving behind the net for backdoor passes just like we saw. So head down and smash that affiliate link if you want to know more. Taking a look at what this line has actually contributed, they've played 12 games together, at least McDavid and Hopkins have. They've totaled 64 minutes together on the ice, 5v5. They have 8 goals for, they have 5 goals against. They have an unworldly 7.54 goals per 60 minutes. Good enough for number 1 in the NHL. The only reason they're not ranked number 1 is because their goals against is 4.71. So when you're pushing for offense, sometimes it leaves you exposed for defense. Good enough for rank number 5. Number 4 is going to be New Jersey Devils, Nico, Hischier, Zetterlund, and Tatar. When we take a look at this line, Nico Hischier is the man that drives this line here for New Jersey, and what you're going to take a look at is his zone entry. Now, this is kind of like Connor McDavid light, which could be insulting if you're a massive Connor McDavid fan, because just nobody has that same skill, but take a look at what he does here. He's going to do the same little button hook curl, which is the delay, but the real key we want to look at here is Zetterlund. Zetterlund drives the front of the net exactly like you'd want to see him, and then he's going to go ahead and pivot behind the back of the net here, getting lost. What that is going to do is that is going to create space and gap in the center of the ice here for Tomas Tatar to come in here and finish it off with an absolute beauty goal. So everybody's taking a look at the man with the puck who's over here, and you can see you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people puck watching. Everybody is going to lose Zetterlund behind the net right now as he goes behind there, and that is going to allow Tomas Tatar to end up stepping in, banking in, and scoring. So the Hischier line comes in ranked at number 4. They've played 9 games together so far, 79 minutes played, 5-on-5, 6 goals for, only 1 goal against, 4.59 goals per 60 with a 0.76 goals against per 60. Defense is just as important as offense, and this is a stingy line to play against. They may not generate the most amount of offense on this list, but they generate a fair share of goals versus goals scored on them. Good enough for number 4. The number 3 line we want to talk about comes out of Montreal. I know I'm as shocked as you are, but I am never shocked when Nick Suzuki is on the case. Suzuki, Dach, and Caufield have combined to make one of the best lines in the NHL right now as of mid-November. Suzuki and the centerman is always a very important cog on the line, but it's important to note the balance of this line. Dach is an absolute monster of a man. He's got the reach, the physicality, and the body size. And Gold Caufield, as they call him over there in Montreal, is an absolute sniper, goal scorer. And under Marty St. Louis, this line has absolutely thrived, both offensively and defensively for the Habs. What you notice is this puck battle ensues. It's the big man, Dach, who's able to actually battle the Winnipeg Jets here in the corner and get body position. But what I want to draw your attention to is Cole Caufield and Nick Suzuki here. We call this line right here the right side of the puck. Anything over here on this side of the puck is the right side of the puck. That is because that is where the Montreal netminder actually is, and you always want to be between your netminder and the puck. So we draw that straight line down here. Anything to the right is on the right side. And then what we end up seeing here is a little switcheroo between Caufield and Suzuki. You can see it right here. Normally what happens with goal scorers here like Cole Caufield is they would actually maintain and hang up here in this zone. They would stay on the wrong side of the puck, the offensive side of the puck, and it would be up to our centerman here in Nick Suzuki to stay on the right side of the puck and generate good defense. But good defense leads to good offense. So Caufield over here gets on the right side of the puck. Dach is able to win that battle in the corner. And Nick Suzuki is actually the one that explodes and opens up into the open ice to go ahead and press forward for a goal. When you get on the right side of the puck, Caufield's able to pick it up here, use his beautiful hands, and they are gone. They're off to the races. They're attacking with 3 now. This is a traditional attack here from Montreal and a lot of high-scoring teams. You attack 3 across the straight line, going across the blue line, and it's very simple here. You're going to want to bump this out left or right. Either option is fine, and you're going to want to drive the mid lane here. If you are Cole Caufield, that is going to lead to a goal. Then he's going to bump it out over here to Suzuki. I'll spoil it for you. Suzuki will end up going wide, and it will be up to Dach to get in front of the net to find that junk. Big bodies go in front of the net for big goals. So as Suzuki takes that pass over here from Caufield, he is a shooter as well. He's not just a playmaker or a passer. Connor Hellebuck struggles to handle this puck, and it ends up popping out over here to Dach, who has gotten behind the Winnipeg defender, and he is able to bang that one home. Look, there's not much pretty about this if you're Dach, but going back onto this play and winning that battle in the corner was hyper important for this line. Cole Caufield getting on the right side of the puck is hyper important. This line is just as responsible defensively, doing the little things under Marty St. Louis as they are offensively. That's helped them produce 8 games together at 84 minutes, 10 goals for. Unbelievable stat line for this line. 4 goals against. That's good enough for being ranked number 3 at 7.18 goals per 60 minutes and 2.87 goals against per 60. They're a reason Montreal is not in the basement today. Number 2 comes to us from the Vegas Golden Knights. You shouldn't be surprised. One of the best teams in the NHL, arguably the best team in the NHL right now, and it is the Jack Eichel line. 2 centers on this line, just like Montreal we saw before with Dach and Nick Suzuki playing together. Now we see Eichel and Chandler Stephenson playing together. You've heard me say it before. Speed and intelligence need to play with equal speed and intelligence. That is why centermen get converted over to the wing more often than not in the NHL, coming up from junior, coming up from college, or even midway through their career like Chandler Stephenson here. Jack Eichel is clearly the best player on this line, but Stephenson and Stone are no joke. Stone is an all-star right winger who's been plagued by injury, and what we end up seeing here is the talented Mark Stone showing exactly why he is that talented. He picks up the turnover here in the middle of the ice, doing his job, covering his high man, and then what we see is the attack of the Vegas Golden Knights as all 3 of them immediately transition from defense into offense. They're going to leave the defensive zone into what we call the fast zone here, and the fast zone is going to allow these guys to shred Buffalo's defense and other teams' defense with their speed. They attack the line with 3 just like Montreal did, so you have 3 coming in along a very similar parallel. Jack Eichel is going to go ahead and drive the mid lane with that incredible game-breaking speed of his. Chandler Stephenson carries this puck wide, and he has a few options. He's either going to bump it over to Jack Eichel, or he's going to wait and hit Mark Stone somewhere at the top of the circle down here in a bit of a delay, but when you have Jack Eichel driving the net, one of the best players in the NHL, why wouldn't you give it to him? You give it to Eichel, you see Stone ends up at the top of the circle, Eichel buries it, and it is all due to the awareness of guys like Mark Stone in that zone, the fact that they play with speed, and the fact they play with hyper intelligence. They're good enough for number 2. They've played 12 games together, 126 minutes on ice, 11 goals for, only 2 against, 5.23 goals per 60 minutes. That means Bruce Cassidy runs these horses a little bit more than some of the other lines out there, although he does subscribe a bit more to load management than other teams, especially with his stars, but their goals against per 60 is a small and low 1.43. And finally, that brings us to line 1, and it is no surprise, at least I hope it's no surprise, it's the Robertson line. Nope, it's not the Hintz line, it's the Robertson line. Robertson is the engine that drives this line, but Pavelski, Hintz, and Robertson of the Dallas Stars are just one of the best lines in the NHL. You can see him doing it right here. A nice little regroup over here to Joel Pavelski, and what makes this line so deadly is what we call tight puck support. They play 3 down low, they overload the same side, they have left brain, right brain, meaning they know exactly where the other one is going. It is like the 3 of them share a brain, but there aren't 3 hemispheres I can talk about with a brain. Jeez Louise, I have no idea where I was going with that analogy. Back to hockey. You see that little bit of a give and go over here to Pavelski, and then what's going to happen is a small low cycle. As that small low cycle gets started, these can be very difficult for teams to handle. So Robertson picks up that loose puck there from inside Pavelski's skate. You're going to see Hintz end up stepping up through, using Pavelski as a screen, who knows exactly to get back to the front of that net. They're going to end up beating the goaltender on this one, and that pressure that they create down low as a group of 3 is absolutely terrorizing for opposing defenses. They come in ranked number 1 because they've played 15 games together, 145 minutes. That's good for 16 5-on-5 goals, 2 goals against, 6.59 goals per 60, and an absolutely incredible 0.82 goals against per 60. Sometimes the best defense is a good offense, and this line is not only responsible defensively, but they do not give up the puck in terms of possession very often. They are looking to score, and they have done it with 16 goals. They are a reason the Dallas Stars sit where they sit in the Central Division. We also have an honorable mention and a snubs list to go through, but before we do that, if you've been here on this video this long, remember the big thumbs up. If you enjoyed it, subscribe to Coach Ryan D down below for more great hockey content. I have an honorable mention line that I want to talk about as well too. It's the Staal, Fast, Marchand line. They've played 15 games together, good enough for 123 minutes, 8 goals for, 2 goals against. That's only 3.92 goals per 60, but is 0.98 goals against per 60. Jordan Staal, and whatever line him and Fast end up playing on, is the best shutdown line in the NHL. They also have an offensive upside to them as well. This is a 3rd line down there for Carolina, and a big reason that Carolina is as good of a team as they are. This was a team that ended up shutting down the Bergeron line with Pastrnak and Marchand in the playoffs last year. Now Martin is new to this line, but Staal and Fast are not. This is a line to always keep your eye on, and maybe they're not a number 1 line in the NHL, but they are definitely a number 1 line at playing against other teams' number 1 lines. We also go ahead here and we pull up the snub list for you. The snub list is very simple. Here's 5 lines that I think can and will make this list as we revisit it throughout the year. Marchand, Bergeron, and Pastrnak don't end up making this list because they've only played 10 minutes together due to Marchand's injury, but this is definitely a premier line and arguably the best line in the NHL if you weren't considering the statistics and the time of year and the impact the other 6 lines made that we just mentioned before this. The Nathan MacKinnon line, MacKinnon, Rantanen, and Lehkonen. You think this line would make it? Well, they had a very slow start, 5 versus 5. They haven't produced enough goals, and they've gotten scored on too many times in order to make this list, but we all know the talent is there. This list isn't just about talent, it is about what you're doing on the ice today. Barkov, Verhaeghe, and Tkachuk, oh boy, they could have and maybe should have made this list, but I have them at number 6. If you have them higher, comment down below and let me know which line you would replace to put this line in. It is absolutely a deadly line. They're number 6 for me, so they don't quite make the cut. Beauvillier, Nelson, Yzerman and Lee. Look, too many goals against for me, but the Islanders' success has been very apparent with a line like this. So they could end up making this line if they tighten up their D zone. And then Matthews, Bunting, and Marner. We know it's a very good line, but don't even get me started on this line right now because we are evaluating on how they're doing this season and this season alone. Well, that does it. There you have it. Hopefully you enjoyed the breakdown. Hopefully you enjoyed the coach's commentary, the videos. Let me know if you like the style of this video down below. And hey, go check out this video about the Winnipeg Jets New Jersey Devils systems and why they are finding so much success in today's NHL. If you really have a hankering for the X's and O's of coaching, the game highlights and breakdowns we have in this video, I think you'll find very informative. We'll catch you all in the next one. Thanks for being here.